How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Daily Endeavours for the last day of the month, 31st of August, Sunday. This set is okay. Personally, I would choose Amorphous foes, containers, and improving an item. Cycle bosses is eh. And now, personally, I know there's probably some merit to doing this one, but I personally do not suggest trying this one. Patrolling horrors, if you're not familiar what they are, in the Imperial City zone, there are 12 bosses that wander. There's 2 in each of the 6 districts above the sewers when you start. They are about the difficulty of like a world boss from like Overland, and yeah, they move around a lot more than other bosses do. Like other bosses stay put in their like areas, but yeah, patrolling horrors, as their name suggests, they move around quite a bit. Now, as I said, they're about as tough as a world boss, and you can do them. It'll take a few minutes, right? But I consider these to be pretty unreliable, because if you're not familiar with Imperial City, this place is a PvP Wild West. There's tons of like regular enemies all over the place, and players from other alliances will be able to attack you on sight. And while it is definitely very exciting, and you can make a case for, if you damage the patrolling horror and then you die like a little bit after, if another player kills it within a reasonable time frame, I think a few minutes, as long as you've done like a bit of damage, maybe like 10% of the boss's health, even if you're dead at the time, I'm pretty sure if you kill it, I'm pretty sure if someone else kills it, it still counts for you, and you can also loot the boss for the monster helm, I think. But the problem there lies in, you are at that point relying on somebody else to do the rest of the work. And I think everyone at this point who watches this regularly knows how I feel about relying on other people. If you can, avoid that shit, because what is stopping another player from just completely leaving the boss alone, like letting it reset, and then just waiting for another chump to go up and start attacking it, and they can kill them and rob their Telvar. You know, you probably don't have any Telvar on you, but what's stopping them from doing that? What's stopping them from taking the boss and moving it completely the opposite side of the district? Because there is no, like, max range that the bosses here follow. They will follow you to the entire fucking other end of the district. So I would guarantee someone else would do that too, just to stop you from being able to do that easily. So yeah, there's just the idea of relying on, like, other people for being able to do this one smoothly, not something I would ever personally recommend. As I said, it's probably very exciting, but yeah, don't really ever recommend this one. Yeah, definitely recommend containers, easy to do. Amorphous foes, these are all over the place and really easy to kill. Improving an item, you can do this pretty much as soon as you log in if you're in a town. And then, yeah, cycle bosses. The difference between this and a patrolling horror, yes, it might take a little bit longer, but 1, cycle bosses are much easier than a patrolling horror, and 2, there are no players in the way who will ever stop you from being able to do this. No matter what, the bosses are entirely yours to kill, and I guess another player if you want to do that with them. And that's the thing, like, you can bring a friend with you. Okay, so yeah, I'll start with improving an item. So firstly, for prep in the future, if you want to make this even easier for yourself, the crafts here, there are hirelings. If you put points into this over time, through the mail, you'll get hirelings, and these actually give you stuff. For example, upgrade materials. So this blacksmithing one didn't give me any there. God damn it, now I'm trying to bloody prove a point. Yeah, so as over time, you'll get upgrade materials, and if you just have one hireling on one character and you just log into them frequently, you'll have enough stuff to improve with, and that's the only thing you really need for this. The item that you want to improve can easily be just looted from anywhere. So, giving you an example here, this is Rivenspire. I'll just walk into the blacksmithing area, and if I look around, there are just items on the table here. If I just go stealth in the corner, just be careful, make sure people aren't moving. Let's grab the helm, and then I'll just go to the blacksmithing station. I'll use some of the honing stone that I have from collecting my hirelings. Let's go find this void steel helm, improve that, and that's job done. Now, at the absolute worst, you'll need 5 honing stone or green materials, or you'll need 7 blue ones. But as you level up your crafts, you can get to the point in which you only need 2 or 3. So having a character with max level crafting is really beneficial for this. Just having max level crafters for all sorts of stuff like writs, upgrading your weapons, stuff like that, pretty damn important. So yeah, I know it's a lot of work getting this stuff set up, but man, if there is a single thing in this game that I think is like worth more than anything else, honestly, anything else in the game, I think having the ability to craft yourself is honestly one of the most important things in the game. Something I would definitely recommend. Right, so as for the other option, you gotta kind of buy your upgrade materials if you don't have any. You can deconstruct some stuff, but it is going to take some time getting that. So my advice is just go buy some on a guild store. So as far as preferences go, I think the blacksmithing green and blue items are really good. Honing stone and dwarven oil. They're usually very cheap, about 10 gold a piece. Same with clothing for the green and blue stuff. Hemming and embroidery, usually very cheap. Woodworking is a bit of a weird one. The pitch is like much more expensive than any other green item. Or, yeah, I think it's the most expensive one. But Turpin, the blue one, is like pretty cheap. And then Mastic is like quite expensive, and then Rosen is like really cheap as far as legendary ones go. Don't really suggest using any of the purple or gold ones. You can use that if you want, I suppose. And then Jury, the green stuff is not too bad, and it's probably the easiest thing to get a lot of, like just from doing domins, I feel. But yeah, it's just wouldn't suggest it's either like buying them yourself, because they are still a little bit more expensive than the clothing and the blacksmithing ones. Now, you might have noticed there, when we grab that item, it counts as a container. So if you want to do both of these at once, if there's a bunch of items on an item rack nearby, just grab them, and that counts as containers. Or, ironically enough, if you have access to Imperial City, if you're above level 10, you can also use this to get your items. Because you don't actually have to steal anything in here. Everything is actually just looted. And these all count as containers. So, as soon as you get in, there's like weapon racks here, and you can just grab all the items here, and they all count as containers. So that's one thing you can do. That's kind of the only reason I would actually come to Imperial City today. Now, if you don't have access to Imperial City for that, the containers endeavor, you can do this in all sorts of places, but the best place outside of PvP zones that I would recommend is Belkarth. The reason for this is there is a house right next to the Way Shrine here, called Gem and Flask, and upstairs it has a bunch of stealable container items, and there's nobody around to see you steal them. So you just come up here, and yeah, you've got a bunch of items here that you can just steal. And yeah, that's another way. If you've got access to solo instances, for example, if you had something like... if you go to Vollenfell, there's a ton of like baskets and bags and stuff you can loot as well, and they count as containers. You could do the same thing with Imperial City White Gold Tower, the dungeon here, because there's a bunch of like weapons on the floor and stuff on like skeletons they can just pick up, and they also count as containers. There's a lot of ways you can do this, and yeah, a lot of them are really convenient here. If you want to get to Belkarth for the first time, what you need to do is go to Home Tours, Browse Homes, and look up Elenir Private Arena under E, so this one here. So if you travel to any of these, it's free. Doesn't matter which one you travel to, just as long as it's someone else's house in Home Tours. If you preview it, it doesn't count, because if you leave, it just takes you back to where you came in from. If you do it this way, though, when you leave through the front door, you'll be taken to Kraglen, just outside the town of Belkarth. So it's just over here, and then once you're here, you just go down here, travel a little bit west, and you'll rock up in Belkarth. And then, yeah, from that point, you'll have the Wayshrine. You can get here easily from that point. Okay, next up, Amorphous Foes. So Netches, Voriplasms, as far as I'm aware, the only other Amorphous foe that exists is basically Voriplasms, except they're like vampire blood gloop things, and they're very, very annoying to find. My advice here, yeah, just Netches or Voriplasms, depending on the DLCs that you own. If you're just base game, there are a couple of good places to find Netches, so let me just show you what they look like, just so you're familiar. You've probably seen them before. They're mostly... oh yeah, someone's fighting this one. They're mostly found in sort of Ebonheart, Morrowind regions, but there are a couple of places. So Cold Harbor is my preferred one, because there are about 10 or 9 of them in Cold Harbor in this area here. It's just to the east of the Holy City. We'll go ahead. Here's another one. It's Bullnetch. So sometimes you'll find Bullnetches instead of just the regular Netches. a fair bit tougher. They do like an extra attack with the gas on the floor. When they do that, just don't interrupt them, and they kind of don't do anything. One of the biggest problems you'll have is there'll be other people killing these things, because this is overland, right? So no matter what, there basically isn't going to be an instance where you'll find these things in dungeons. Well, there's one. Okay, I'll go through that one as well, but basically expect these things to sometimes be dead, because other players will want to do the same thing, because these are usually the easiest ones to get to. Right, so there's another one over here I know of. Yeah, here we go. So I'm just going to wait a quick second for that other person, just in case they want to get this one too. Because yeah, try and be a good Samaritan here. Because yeah, when they die, like, you have to wait for them to respawn for a few minutes, and it can be kind of painful for other people. But there are a bunch of other locations that you can find them, so don't take too long. That's long enough. Oh no, here we go. Yeah, see, that was worth it. Okay, so that's all 5. So yeah, Cold Harbor. It's kind of do a circle around this area here, and come up here too. There's a couple over here. So if you haven't been to Cold Harbor before, there is actually an easy way without having to do the whole quest line, like main quest line, to get here. There is actually a house, just like with the Alik'r Private Arena stuff. Go browse homes. Instead of Alik'r Private Arena, we look for Cold Harbor to Real Estate. Travel to one of these, go out the front door. This will actually take you to Cold Harbor, and then you'll unlock this way shrine by default. So from that point, you now have access to Cold Harbor. You don't have access to the northern side, but you can't find any Netches over there anyway, so it's not a big deal. There are vampires, which might be important later on for endeavors, but now that you've got access to Cold Harbor, you can start doing the quest line here. So yeah, you unlock this area of other quest lines, so keep that in mind. Okay, other places. Stonefalls is the other main area. Just northwest of the starting way shrine, Davon's Watch. If you come up here, close to the harborage, over here, there are Netches. There's about 5 or 6. Usually they're dead though, every time I go there. So yeah, I don't know how reliable that'll be. Just northwest of Vivek's Antlers up here, there's a bunch of Netches that can be just floating around. Sulphur Pools Way Shrine to the west, there's a hillside where there's a good maybe 5 or 10. That's another area. The Brahma's Grove, this has a world boss, which also spawns 2 little calves. So that's 3, and then there's like 3 more around the countryside here as well they can kill. Yeah, like I said though, most of these are usually going to be dead, because it's overland stuff. Other people will kill them themselves, and usually they don't wait. There are a few in Vardenfell, but they're usually just in small groups of like 2 to 3, so I don't really like to use Vardenfell too much. But like, for example, uFuqinwitme Camp has a bunch. I think you can find a bunch around Daedric Trickery as well, the set bonus station here. Maybe a couple around this area here. I'm not too familiar. I usually just skip this one entirely. There's some of the other options. Oh, actually, there are also a few in Netches Leftings in the lower sections. If you want a instance version, it's a bit of a pain, but Darkshade Caverns 2, beat the first main boss, which is the Transmuted Hive Lord. You'll unlock a door. That's the thing. Transmuted Hive Lord's not the easiest thing to kill on your own. It's probably easier doing a public patrolling horror at that point. But yeah, it is soloable though. You just have to worry about the 2 minion things that keep stunning you. But yeah, go through that door. The next main boss, you can just skip straight to it. It's called Grobel the Transmuted. It is a Netch boss that spawns a fucking army of Netches, and they count as Amorphous foes too. So you can use that. Getting here is a little painful though. There's not really any houses I know of that are nearby. Quickest way I would see would probably be... Yeah, that's the 3. So yeah, there's nothing on the east side, unfortunately. Yeah, just try these houses here. Gondom Aurelia and Flaming Nyx. Okay, so for a DLC alternative, we've got Voriplasms, these things here. So yeah, they count as Amorphous foes. Now, there are a bunch of places you can find these. Let me go through some. Zeemhawk the Trophy Taker. This is a world boss in Blackwood. And what he does is, when he gets to certain amounts of health, he spawns these things here. Now what these do is, these things here actually count as amorphous foes, but they also go to these skeletons here. That's unfortunate. But what they do is they go to these skeletons here, and they produce extra Voriplasm corpses. And there's also little ones they spawn too. And they all spawn as... they all count as amorphous foes. So if you can let this guy... if you can let these amorphous foes just run around and turn these things into Voriplasm corpses, they can help you do the endeavor relatively quickly. But yeah, again, it's an overland area though, and if this guy is dead, you kind of can't make use of that. Yeah, personally, I just leave this guy alive, but if you want to kill him, that's up to you. If you want easy access to Zeemhock's Lagoon, because getting here is a bit of a trek normally, there's also, again, home tours, man, it's so helpful. Welipon Haven, just use this here, travel over here, and then V0 Waystone, you've got easy access to it from this point. There is also Murkmire. If you've got this DLC, this area also works. There's a couple of Voriplasms in the environment, but you'll mostly find them in Sophia Cavern. There's a part of that delve where not only is the delve boss a Voriplasm and spawns like Voriplasm corpses, it also is just littered with the things all over the place near him. Or near it, I should say. So yeah, there's lots of Voriplasms in there you can use. The Public Dungeon Group Event area in Orcrest is also a great spot. It's found here. In order to access this, you need to go through here, and there's like a trapdoor here, and then it leads you to like a sewer area, and then you'll eventually get to this area here. Nordigloop the Clog itself is a Voriplasm, and the area surrounding, like on the balcony, there's like a bunch of Voriplasms all over the place there. So you can kill all those. Access to Orcrest, it's a bit of a pain because there's not really any houses nearby as far as I'm aware. Let me just look this up again as well. I'm pretty sure the quickest way here is just start from Rimmen and just make your way over here. Up here, through the cave, through down here, and get this way so you've got easy access from that point. But let me just double check. I suppose Moonsugar Meadow, which is here-ish, isn't too bad, because you can actually... I'm pretty sure you can go up this way or this way, and that leads up here or through here. Sorry, I didn't realize that was so close. You could use that too, I suppose. 2 cycle bosses, it takes about 10 minutes, 15, 20, depending on how powerful your build is. You don't need to be very powerful, like you don't need to have much survivability. It just mostly depends on how much damage you can do, is how long it's going to take. Yeah, basically anything with like, just like vigor and a few like self-heals is just all you really need. And just like, as long as you've got gold weapons, you'll be able to do this easily. You can do it without, but yeah, this makes it easier. Okay, so firstly, it's probably a good idea to grab this quest. You won't complete it just by doing your 2 cycle bosses, but if you end up liking Infinite Archive, if you haven't done it before, you can progress and get to the boss of the first arc, which it takes about 30 minutes though, or 40 minutes, so it'll be much longer than 2 cycle bosses. But you get some good stuff if you actually complete the quest by doing that. You get a lot of fortunes and an item that works you towards getting a mount. So there's some stuff you can get in Infinite Archive that can be really good. Yeah, just grab this just in case. So it'll start off pretty simple. Usually it'll be 3 enemies. 1 will be ranged, 2 will be melee. The Ascendant enemies, there is a bit of a note I like to give with the Vanguards. Always interrupt them, because if you let them do their channel, they get like a lightning form, and they become they take ages to kill. But basically, there will be ranged enemies and melee enemies. The best way to go, I say, is stick on the ranged enemies, and the melee enemies will come to you anyway. This means it's more efficient for your ground effects, because instead of following the like putting AoEs on the melee enemies and the ranged enemies go away, the melee enemies will just follow you anyway, so it's just simpler. Alright, interrupt him, get out of Dragon Knight Standard, interrupt that, because that slows you down like crazy. So when you see that circle below your feet with these sword and ward big dudes, get ready to block, because if you don't block that, it will stun you. So the third wave will always have one of these tougher enemies. Don't worry, that's totally normal. Sorry, the cat moved the microphone again. Yeah, so personally, I find it's easier to focus the little enemies first and AoE them down, but some of the big enemies I like to focus first. For example, the Crow Wraith are a pain in the ass. Right, so when you complete your first stage, these are stages. So you do 2 stages and then you get a cycle. So that's the way that Infinite Archive works. It does that 4 times, then you get 2 stages and then a main boss. So yeah, just get through these stages and then you get through to your bosses. So when you complete a stage, you get a verse. These are power-ups that some of these are really bloody strong, and then other ones can be quite insignificant, especially in the early stages where you don't really need much healing or defense. Getting like powerful offensive ones are really good. Cold Blast is amazing for these stages because you'll kill a lot of little enemies, and yeah, it kills all the little enemies very quickly. It's not great on bosses though, because usually it's only the boss that you're fighting. But yeah, on these waves it's fucking great. So yeah, if I just kill this guy quick, it deals a bunch of damage to the other guys. It stuns them. Used to do a lot more damage though, I found, but didn't stun them. I don't know. Maybe they did that terribly. Okay, stage 2 complete. We go find our next buff, and then we go to the boss. Restorative Elixirs, Fortress. They're both defensive skills, basically. You don't tend to kill enemies in boss fights, so any of these defeat enemies ones I find to be quite insignificant. Yeah, having a shield is good. Right, so they're basically coffee breaks. They're like mini games that you can do on the side. You get the currency for Infinite Archive called Archive of Fortunes from doing these. They're good to do, but if you just want to do your cycle bosses, these will just increase how long it takes you to do them. So if you just want to get your endeavors done, that will slow you down. Oh shit, it's Staada from Alik'r Desert. So here you go. So we got a boss now. There are all sorts of bosses that will come up here. It's just, yeah, it depends on the order. Like the first cycle boss will usually be really easy enemies, or simple ones more, I'd say. But yeah, it depends. Yeah, some of the late cycle bosses you can get are fucking brutal. Yeah, Staada's pretty chill. Definitely easier in Alik'r Desert though. Okay, that's 1. So now you literally repeat the cycle. The cycle repeats. So Monument Chest. This is your reward for killing bosses. You get some Archive of Fortunes, as I said earlier, and you get some other stuff. You get a blue item to sell. So if you want to buy your improvement materials on guild stores, you can also do that with the stuff that you earn from this, I guess. So this is a vision. So you get verses for completing stages. You get visions for completing cycles. Visions are like verses, except they last the entire arena run, but are usually less powerful. Usually, there's some that are absurdly ridiculous. That's oxymoron, isn't it? Absurdly overpowered. But here we got stamina regen, which isn't very useful. Yeah, healing gun's fine. Yeah, don't worry too much about that because you're not going to be in here for very long if you just want to do your cycle bosses. So go through here, and then we got another stage, and that leads us to another group of enemies. Usually the initial stages will be pretty chill. Yeah, these fuckers. But yeah, sometimes you'll get enemies that are like more annoying than others. For example, there's like these things called conduits. The Dromatha enemies have them, and I think the Dromora enemies have them. They apply a negate on the floor, and it stops you from using magicka skills and shit like that. Minotaurs aren't usually too bad. Oh, that's an annoying spot, isn't it? Get out of that. Yeah, shamans get a bit of a shield on them for a bit when you first fight them. Next verse, Siphoning Vigor, 2 defensive ones. This is Oh, this could actually be really good. It's good for stages, because, yeah, you'll be killing a lot of enemies in stages. Not great for bosses, though, because you're pretty much never going to be killing shit. Okay, so, again, sticking onto the ranged enemy, put all your ground dots there. Just watch out for heavy attacks and interruptible stuff. Get some Dwarven arquebuses. Get ready to interrupt these, because I'm pretty sure they sap your resources. Oh wow, you bloody might have started me there. Okay. What do we got? Stormcaster. Yeah, usually focus these guys. Ah, there you go, there's a negate. See? And if you kill the casters first, it stops the negates. We want to be a bit careful here, the blueies. Oh, that was close. Okay. Straightforward. So yeah, blue, you've probably seen the Dwemer like do that blue effect on each other. That's something you have to deal with in here. Oh god. This is probably one of the worst defensive skills in the game. Unless you're a werewolf or you use a lot of the soul scribing skills. Other than that, yeah, it's just fucking shit. Yeah, we'll just go with this again. That's not bad, actually. Alright, and on to our last cycle boss. Exarch Kraglen. I'm pretty sure this guy, he does like an annoying charge attack. Make sure you have heals. And yeah, this shield should help us a lot. Yeah, he does 2... Oh yeah, there you go. Got that. Yeah, that's the charge thing I was talking about. As long as you're close to him, it's usually not bad. Oh wow, that hit me 3 dodge. Excuse me, sir? I didn't need to use that again, did I? That attack is kind of annoying because it has no telegraph. Okay. Yeah, that shield was great. Okay, and that's it. So we're all done. So now we grab our Muniment chest, grab our vision. Don't really need the vision, but if I were to keep going, I would... if I was a stamina build, this would be great, but I'm not. I'd probably choose this one, just because, especially if you're going to go much further, Ferocious, I think, is a good option. And you do take a fair bit of physical and bleed from some world bosses, or some bosses. I don't know. It's a luck of the draw. You might just start getting all magic-based bosses. Who knows? Yeah, I'd probably choose this one, though. Alright, so if you want to leave, you continue on, but instead of going to the next circle, go through this archive index here. This will take you back to the foyer, and then you turn over here, and the portal will be here, and you take that to get back out. Now, if you get a boss that you don't want to fight, or like up to a stage that you don't want to deal with, for example, there's a ice dragon boss in the cycles that I just fucking hate dealing with. You can use this to reset the place. You can... Oh, sorry, I hit the mic there. You can use this thing over here, but that one you have to wait a lot longer to retry it. Whereas this one here, you can immediately restart the archive and just try again. So you hit that, leave, and yeah, you'll be taken straight back to wherever you came in from. And from there, you just wait for the loading screen to end, go to the Wayshrine, back in we go, and you'll notice it's a different area. So that's a good indication of that we're back at the start. So it does say we're on cycle 3 here, but if we hit this, it'll completely reset, as you can see. 111. Alright, so that's everything I think needs to be talked about. If you've got any questions for me, just give me a holler as always. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks to us as always. I'll see you next time. And yeah, take care for now.